Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. Reminder of our main stories. Ousted PDP acting chairman Ali-Modu bounces back, storms party's national secretariat in Abuja to assume leadership. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with the United States over Sunday's terrorist shooting in Orlando nightclub. Militant group Niger Delta Avengers finally agrees to dialogue with federal government over attacks on oil installations. And psychologist declares Oscar Pistorius depressed and unfit for jail at the resumed sentencing hearing for the murder of his girlfriend. A quick reminder to you now that all our top stories are on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. And do visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. And we encourage you to use the Eyewitness feature in the Channels TV app. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the app on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
We have some of those pictures that were sent into our Eyewitness portal, and we can begin with this one from Ketu, Lagos State, showing streetlights which, according to our Eyewitness reporter, were erected by the state governor. He appreciates the government's efforts and wants the gesture extended to other parts of the state. And next is this one from Magodu, also in Lagos State, showing a road project which our Eyewitness reporter alleges was abandoned shortly after takeoff. He's worried about it and urges the government to intervene. Our next image shows a burnt vehicle, and it was sent in from Ibafo in Ogun State. Our Eyewitness reporter alleges that the vehicle belongs to security men and was burnt by suspected oil pipeline vandals. He's worried by the state of criminal activities going on there and pleads with the government to come to their aid. We also have this image of erosion coming from Enugu State. Our Eyewitness reporter alleges it was due to the activities of a construction company which later abandoned the project, and he wants the Environment Protection Agency to do something about it. From Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, comes our final image showing people whom our Eyewitness reporter says are beneficiaries of the You-Win program. He says they are protesting against the non-release of grants to run their businesses.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Thanks a lot for sending in your pictures, and we ask you to send us some more. Let's stay with our lead story on the PDP leadership crisis. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by a member of the PDP Board of Trustees and Southwest leader, Chief Olabode George. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief George, on the news at 10.
Pleasure.
I mean, you're a member of the BOT, endorsed that caretaker committee at the convention.
That's right.
How do you feel about what happened today?
I think it was a charade, very shocking, and having been in the party since 1998, I had never, ever seen such a behavior. Now, I had Gulag, who was making the comments, and we are guided by the constitution of the party. I didn't write the constitution. That is the ground norm, like the lawyers will say. Gulag himself is a lawyer, and I will remind him to go and read his constitution, page to page. I quote, "The functions of the National Convention. The National Convention shall be the supreme and controlling authority of the party within the limits prescribed in this constitution, and shall be the principal representative, policy-making and administering body of the party." That gives the convention the absolute power to appoint, to dissolve any organ at the National Convention. The question is, has Sheriff been appointed at the National Convention? No. The National Executive Committee, yes, recommended there should be a convention. preparation was made to have him to midwife and manage the convention. That the convention has not given him any authority. And I tell you, he said the convention has no authority to appoint committees. Also, our constitution, page 67, very clearly stated that the National Convention shall have an exercise authority to appoint committees as it may deem fit, desirable or expedient, and assign to them such powers and functions as it may deem fit. So if the convention has these powers, why is he saying that the caretaker committee appointed cannot function?
The convention has that power,
right,
but he was armed with a court order. So does that court order not matter in this case?
The court order never told us not to conduct the National Convention. All he said was that there should be no election. And there was no election at the National Convention. What they did was appoint people to go and manage the party until the next convention. So who was appointed there? A caretaker. That's not electing the national chairman or secretary or any of the members. And my advice to them is that this is the holy month of Ramadan, when our brother Muslims should atone for their sins. This is the time to take a deep breath and look at what they are doing. Would they be able to defend this before their creator, the Almighty Allah? Because it's all a charade. It's a load of lies. And the other point which I like to raise is the same constitution forbids anybody going to court without adequately going through the various channels in the party. None of this was done.
Let me take you up on that.
All right.
We had part of his camp on one of our programs earlier in the evening, okay, and the Sharif camp are alleging that nobody has approached them in terms of reconciliation in this process. That is the allegation that they are making, that they have not been approached the proper way. And how do you broker peace when you're not approached?
You know, that's also a lie. That is also a lie. Last week, a meeting was scheduled between the BOT, the Governors Forum, the National Assembly Caucus, and himself. He never showed up. That is a blatant lie. I was invited to that meeting. They didn't show up. So to say that they were not consulted, it's a misnomer. It is. Look, where PDP is the largest political party in Africa. You don't toy around with carrying people and having a behavior that will be detrimental in the minds of the electorate.
Okay.
I want to appeal to them. We are open for discussion. Now, there are 12 members in the National Working Committee of the party. 9 out of the 12 have thrown in the towel. They have accepted the decision of the convention. So what does Sharif want to do?
Let me just ask you, the caretaker committee that you've set up,
yes,
has a 3-month lifeline.
90 days. Yes.
We've done 1 month.
Yeah.
We have 2 camps.
Right.
Do you actually see them coming up with anything that would make sense at the convention that you're planning to have?
You know, the people there are highly respectable, responsible people, trustworthy. Governor McAfee is a seasoned administrator. Senator Obi is also a seasoned administrator. So, other members of that committee, they had sworn an oath. I was there at the caucus meeting where Sharif was introduced to us to fill in the gap left by Muazu. And he was to serve his time to manage it. The way he spoke to us that day, he's my friend. And I still tell him that I still hold you for the statement you made to the world, because he had a press conference telling everybody by the 21st of May, he would wind up and he would live peacefully. Let them remember him on the positive side of history. That truth is the only thing that can subsist for eternity.
Right. Member PDP Board of Trustees and Southwest Leader Chief Bode George, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on the news at 10 tonight.
Thank you.
Let's switch gears and move away from party politics. The president has joined other world leaders to condemn the terrorist attack that occurred in Orlando, Florida, describing it as criminal and cowardly. In a letter to the ambassador of the United States in Nigeria, James Entwistle, President Muhammadu Buhari conveyed Nigeria's heartfelt sympathy to President Barack Obama and the people of the U.S. President Buhari in a letter adds, quote, "Every terrorist attack only strengthens Nigeria's resolve to stand shoulder to shoulder with the United States and other countries in the front line of the war on terror," end of quote. The president also called on all peace-loving nations to commit themselves wholeheartedly to multilateral cooperation and collaborative actions aimed at eradicating the scourge of international terrorism. And now, barely a day after it rejected calls from former militants to open talks with the federal government, the new militant group, the Niger Delta Avengers, has made a U-turn. In a statement posted on its website this evening, the group says it's ready to engage the federal government in a dialogue, provided there are good grounds for such talks. One of the conditions it's given is for the federal government to get the home states of multinational oil corporations operating in the region to commit independent mediators to this proposed dialogue. It states further, "We believe that it's the only environment that will engender genuine dialogue aimed at setting up a framework for achieving the short, medium and long-term demands of the Niger Delta to de-escalate this conflict and bring about lasting peace," end of quote. However, the group restates its resolve to continue to launch attacks on facilities of international oil companies that ferry crude from the Niger Delta. The movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta had earlier urged the Avengers to negotiate and halt attacks that have cut Nigeria's crude output to a 20-year low. And when the news at 10 returns, the federal government outlines plans for integrating capital market master plan into medium-term expenditure framework, and that will be on business. Stay with us.